So when you find an interesting coin, right? For example, this 1988, right? You're looking for the flared G, and you can see on this one there's no FG. It's very, very light. Now, what I thought was grease, maybe, but the problem with the grease is that it would have to be only where the FG is, and that's a possibility. But when I went looking online, I saw that there are several. It's a little bit more common than not common. Ah, that person has a die crack on it. So I'm going to show you this person uploaded to it's called coincommunity.com forum. And the one thing I'll say is be careful with these forums. I'm going to try not to use profanities, but a lot of these forums, the members themselves are big a-holes, and the forum is like their place to rip on people. They love it. They love when new people come in. So let me go up to the screen. They love when new people come in and ask them questions, especially so that they could tell you they're not worth anything. I mean, they'll use very strong language like that ain't worth S, and you'll put a big question for them. Like on this person here, they ask a big question. Hello, I was coin roll hunting for flared G's or DDOs on the ear errors, but came across a no FG 1980. Reverse die seems to be in pretty good shape. I don't see a grease strike. He mentions the grease strike that I talked about, and I don't see a grease strike either. I don't see a grease strike through, so I don't know what happened. All I see is a piece of the F. Is it worth anything? Thanks. And so how do you know someone's an a-hole? If someone says this is worth 1 cent. He asked about the no FG, right? He asked about the no FG. If someone here says it's worth 1 cent, that's an a-hole response. Okay? Because he didn't ask how much it's worth. He asked, does anybody know about the no FG? And there's a little bit, he goes, there's a little bit of F. He took his time to write the comment and here goes a picture. You see a little bit of the F. Oh, and there goes the die crack. And then we'll look back at ours again. I have the handheld microscope. But all I'm saying is be careful with if you're new to penny roll hunting or coin roll hunting, and you get it and you're excited about the hobby. Be careful on these forums, because they're like little piranha turds that are looking to take a bite out of people's confidence. And I remember when I first started doing this, I went on forums because I was so excited to see if I found something. So maybe that's just me. Maybe I'm just sensitive. But I quickly got over that. But I know some other people, and I've seen other people react harshly and that's what they're looking for. They're looking for a reaction. Okay, so here's the die crack he's showing. So he shows the die crack and he shows the little F. So obviously, and he wrote already. Remember, he wrote already about the little F, and he wrote about the die crack, and he wrote about possible grease. So he wrote about all that already. So that's another thing. So if someone goes, well, I see a die crack, that must be what it is. All they're doing is repeating what he said. These people know nothing about numismatics, most of them, but they become members so that they could rip on people. And the funny thing is, he said about grease, and there's actually a little bit of a trail here, which could be relating to the die crack. But you can see there is a little bit of movement after the F. There's a little bit of movement past it. And you can see a very, very light G right here too. Very, very super ultra light. Here's the F again. And from this angle, you cannot see the G. F no G, let's call it. All right. So what they're saying here is that it's over polished. right? So they're saying over polished. And that could be the case. You see these little lines up here? They could have just, and they just got rid of the G and a little bit of the F. So they polished the die. Maybe it was damaged. So the die crack could indicate some damage on the pie, on the die, and then they over polished it. Right. So this guy is saying over polished, a small die break in the usual, and he puts a question mark. At least he puts a question mark. Like he's not sure. Over polished die crack. Here we go. John A1 a hole. Value is 1 cent. He puts the little. Here you go. Yeah. Here you go. John. He should just call himself, instead of John 1, he should call himself John the A-hole. But that's what he is. And he puts the sunglasses on, like that makes him cool. So John the A-hole says the value is 1 cent. And that agree. Look at this. This one this guy has to add the no big deal. No big deal. He has to add that no big deal. Over polish, yeah, I can see a tiny bit. And this one, he has to repeat what the author already said. Yeah, there's a tiny bit of the F there. Just really, the only person out of all of these, really the first person who's probably he could be the moderator for the channel. And he even puts in a little, if you want to go to, and errorref.com, which is the what I use in the description below. You can click errorref.com, and he calls this thinning. Yeah, you want to click it, we click it. Thinning and loss of design. I never read this before. So the first guy, he's the most helpful. And then the other three are basically a-holes. The die has been abrased to the point where there's a thinning or loss of some of the design elements. There you go. This guy knows his stuff. Oh. So the thinning of I keep finding the thin L's or the thin letters. And look, I never knew this before. The die has been abraded to the point where there's a thinning or loss of some of the design elements. Look at that. Like over here on the 8. I never knew that that's what that's from. Look at that. And this is so cool because it's on the penny. And this is where you always see it. The L's always weak here. So let me read this. The image below shows the loss of low-lying features of the Lincoln bust on a 1972 Denver. This is caused by he's saying over braiding. The other people call it over polishing. And I guess he means this area here is kind of weak. And maybe here, but definitely the L and the Y. Oh yeah, and here, look, the eye. Oh, and the mouth. Oh, that's so cool. I didn't know that was from over polishing. Which I'll go. Oh, which is the second person's and the first two people are pretty cool. The first two people are cool, and then we got the a-holes here that they all jump in, bust his chops. All right, let's keep reading. So over polishing, abrading, over polishing, abrading. Sweet. I never knew that before. If you want to look at it closely, in case you never saw it before. You can see how weak the L and the Y is. I never knew that was from over polishing. Okay, I love learning something new, and this is something that you'll see a lot. When penny roll hunting, you'll see Now we know it's over polishing. No one's ever corrected me or mentioned that in the comments before. So even through adversity and finding and looking at somebody else's. So anyway, what do we got? Is that what we got? Let's check it out. So the funny thing is, on the short video, I said it could be so that's what it is. It's from over polishing. Wow, that's really gone though. What a great coin this is. Now I feel so much better about this coin now. Is there a die crack there? His had a die crack. Then that would have said we have the same very close. Well, I don't know if the die crack has anything to do with the die itself. Yeah, there's a very super ultra weak FG there. I don't see any die cracks. But look at that. You see right there? That's grease. Look at the E and the S there. I do not think that's from over polishing. That's grease. Hold on, let me look at that E and S. I seriously doubt that E and S and a part of the O is from over polishing. I mean, it could be. It could be, but I really don't. So that would whatever caused that E and the S to be disappeared like that, which I didn't even notice before. Huh. And there's something in between the E and the S there. Anyway, it could be over polishing or abraded. It could be grease. Remember, you're talking about a little tiny, all of these are little channels on the die. And if they put grease on it, the grease gets into the channel, and when it strikes, you don't see it. So it still could be, it could be grease. But it could be over polishing. So we learned something new today. That's pretty cool. That's probably a pretty common thing, over polishing. But I doubt that. You think that's from over polishing? I doubt that. That I can see happening from over polishing. But if that's from over polishing, that's awesome. Then that would be pretty significant to me. Now, before I go, there were some examples in error ref of over polishing where there were like big areas. Here goes the one from the Indian head. Let me see. The two feathers are the two feathers. Is that the last picture? Uh-huh. Uh-huh. All right, I'll show you the picture really quickly. All right, hold on. So the reason I'm looking at this now is because of the letters on the top. I'm like, can that be from over polishing or abrasion or whatever? So the two feather variety of the Indian head nickel was created by abrading the die. A small portion of the third feather, which is seen to the right of the large feather and behind the neck, was lost due to the removal of a die clash mark, which is what I talk about. That I know that they'll polish that off. Okay. Oh, so check this out. How cool is this? So here's the third feather, right? And over here is taken off. They took off the third feather. Oh wow. So I want now see I didn't think stuff like this they would remove something that significant from abrading. They're calling it abrading from polishing the die. Oh wow. So let's go back to our coin. I don't even need to put this under the mic. So you think that that's from die polishing? Oh, that's so crazy if that's from die polishing. That they removed the FG and the bottom of the S and even part of the O there. Let me look at that under the loop. one last time. Wow. Hard to say. I mean, I don't know. I can't claim to be an expert on any of this. So no FG and if that's polished off, that is super dope, man. That would be, so that means there was probably a die clash here that they took off. No die crack. So the whole thing that the person said about die crack had nothing to do with relating to the error on the from the forum. That the person yeah, there's a die crack that has nothing to do with it. Over polishing and a die crack to me are not related. And he didn't explain what he meant by that anyway. So just final thoughts is research is how you learn about coin collecting and coin roll hunting, right? And numismatics through research. 90% of the people on these forums are there to prevent you from becoming knowledgeable in numismatics and in the hobby. They want to always be the smartest person in the room, even though most of them don't know what they're even talking about. Like the person who mentioned the die crack, it's unrelated to die polishing, um, or a braided die. I don't have no idea why the person mentioned that for. And unless you'd have to qualify. Oh, it has a die crack, and die cracks are related to die polishing because this happens during the process of. And here's a reference to that, like what the person did with the little the link. So just be careful with that. Um, you can learn a lot in the forums from that 5% of people who know what they're talking about. Uh, Another 5% don't know what they're talking about, and then 90% are just being a-holes and trying to be mean-spirited and to really they're just using it as their little playground. So be careful of that, okay? But today we learned about the die polishing, and this could be die polished or it might not be die polished. Let me know what you think about it in the comments below. Please click like and subscribe. God bless, and I'll see you in the next one.